In this lesson, we're going to be talking about TCP states. TCP is a connection-oriented protocol, and because of that, and because we have this three-way handshake that's used to establish those connections, we end up with a set of states based on where the connection is in process. So we're going to use a utility called netstat in order to take a look at some of the states of the TCP connections that we've got on this particular system. The first one I want to show you is listen. Now I'm looking at the ports that are listening, and what that means is an application has bound itself to a particular port and it's listening for connections, which means in TCP language, it's awaiting a SYN packet from a client system. So we've got some servers here. For example, here's a web server. You can see it's listening on the HTTP port, and it's waiting for a SYN message from a client. Those are listen states, and you can see I've got a number of servers here that are listening. Now, there are other states as well. These are streams which are not the same as the sockets that we're really talking about with TCP. This is all local, so connected isn't really a state. This is something else. Here's where we've got a connection that has gone through the three-way handshake. Because we've gone through the three-way handshake and we've established a connection, we have an established state. Now here's another state, and that's close wait. That's where we've attempted to start closing the connection. So one side or the other has sent out the FIN message that's part of the close cycle, but we're in a state where one side has closed, but the other side hasn't closed. So we're waiting for the close to actually complete. That's a couple of states that I can show you here on this system. There are several other states that TCP can be in. We can just take a look through some of these others. The states that are listed here are listed based on the side of the connection that you're at. Of course, the listen side is a server-only state. So only the server can listen because that's the side of the connection where the application is that is bound to a particular port. So that's the side that listens. Now the client side is going to send a SYN, and so we'll be in a SYN-SENT state. Once the server has received that SYN message, we'll be in a SYN-RECEIVED state. Now, this SYN-SENT, SYN-RECEIVED state can be in something that's called half-open. The server will be in a half-open state once the SYN has been received and the SYN ACK has been sent. Until that final ACK is received, we're really in a half-open state because we haven't completed the connection so that we've got an established connection. We are not really open at this point, so we're half-open. Once the SYN, the SYN ACK, and the ACK have been sent and received and the three-way handshake has been completed, we are in an established state. We also have FIN-WAIT 1 and FIN-WAIT 2, which has to do with whether we have sent a FIN and haven't received it or not. We could be in close wait, which means that we are waiting for the connection termination from the local user. And we could also be in a closing state where we are waiting for a termination request acknowledgement from the other side. So we've sent a FIN and we're waiting for the acknowledgement. We also have time wait and we have closed. Now closed obviously means there's nothing listening, there's no communication on that particular port at all. These are the various states that we can find TCP connections in. As I said, if you just use netstat here, you can see different connections in different states. Right now, we just have a couple of connections that are in established states, and we've got one in a close wait. And I can show you again the ones that are in a listening state. That's some of the states that you'll find TCP in, and the utility that you can use both on Linux and on Windows is netstat, and netstat will show you the network status, including all of the connections that you may have. And it's a good way actually of seeing the communication that's going on your system to other systems that are around.